Good morning. My name is Carrie Louise, and this is my evidence submission for 4.4, creating a lesson with technology integration. Why do we actually use tech in the classroom? I'm going to give you or provide to you a 5 to 10 minute presentation of the evidence. And rather than creating an entirely new unit, I continued on with what I've been doing for this past year. We had the blessings of being able to get a course evaluation checklist from our educational technologist, and it has been instrumental in providing a navigational tool as well as a partner for each and every one of my students, as well as myself. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now. You're going to see that there is an image behind the actual screen, and that's part of the integration that I'm utilizing with the TIM framework for my students. So I'll get into that really briefly, probably right in the middle of this particular presentation. So what you see right now is my dashboard. I have 5 different preps, one of them being an introduction to architecture, pardon me, an independent study to architecture, where I have 3 students where I've actually disseminated their actual curriculum into 3 individual curriculums. So there's a total of 8 curricula here, and it's been trying, but I've managed to implement much of what has been required of us through the navigation process. And I just want to demonstrate some of those tools that I utilize for my students right with my digital electronics course. Part of the difficulty that I had with the requirements is that I had to continue to utilize the requirements for Project Lead the Way as well. So what I found here is digital electronics provides a wonderful simulation of both what is required from our Canvas course, as well as some of the progression of what the actual goals and whatnot are of digital electronics. So let's just take a look at digital electronics. When you click on from the dashboard, what you will be brought to is our home screen where the course is introduced. There's a few links to mobile guides where students can learn how to utilize Canvas. And then I provide a series of connection links, this one actually being linked to August, but it provides a direct link to how students progress and navigate through the course, which is not only on the calendar, but also through the modules. I'll explain that in detail as we go back. So the next link that we provided in every single one of my courses, not just digital electronics, is my modules. And I'm utilizing modules very similar to how I utilize modules with Project Lead the Way on their early investigations with Canvas in 2013. That being, each module is a unit, and throughout the use of pages, as well as activities, as well as quizzes, students will progress through those modules on a daily basis. More to come on that. And so at any instantaneous moment of time, they could look on their calendar and see what's due. They could also go into the modules and see the progression of that lesson plan, taking it to the activity, taking it through to a due date, taking it through to a quiz. So I've introduced my students to the actual class as well as me by creating an introductory page. And what I did this year specifically was I utilized a document. I typically have a parent-student handbook to which I actually now created it electronically. So what students had in the handbook, they now have, for example, electronically in Canvas. So the first page was actually to introduce them to the course. The second page is to introduce them to me and my family and what parents want to know, trusting their children in my classroom. And then we start going into the actual handbook. So at any single point in time, students can actually access the handbook. Hopefully this will come up a little bit quickly. So this is a manual or a hard copy of what students will sign relative to integrity expectations, academic expectations, what's going to be involved in every single unit. And in this year, what was new, obviously, was the COVID plans, as well as some of the safety factors that we did. So this was all a hard copy, but Canvas provided me with the tools to actually integrate this as a handbook. And what I did this year was I integrated Adobe Sign so that rather than place that manual copy or that hard copy to the parents and have it come back, I utilized Adobe Sign and created a PDF of it so that they could actually electronically sign it. And it's all in safe keepings in my files as to who is signed, and there has been nobody that has not signed. So this is the introductory portion relative to how the course is set up, how we're going to evaluate, what they're going to be utilizing. This is the academic policy for Rochester Institute of Technology. So everything in here is in Unit 0, preparing them for the class, including what Canvas is. So it provides them with a number of assignments. There was a quiz where they actually signed in. So I'm able to assess at every single step of a unit, particular skill sets, particular knowledge sets, particular discussion sets, and it's just been remarkable. How I go throughout my modules, apart from it being a unit portion of it, when we start going into the actual academic, what I've utilized is a system of pages and activities, as well as indentations and quizzes. So anything that has been deemed as informational purposes, introductions, I usually have done that with pages. I've now learned to know that the students can actually contribute to the pages, but the introductions will involve a series of knowledges and understandings and transfers, essential questions that students will learn. And then what I've done is created common language for them. All their vocabulary for the course is here. And then specific to me, because I'm, as an architect, I love the detail, I've given them a day-by-day plan, which is reflected in the calendar, as well as in the modules, as well as in the daily assignments of what they need to achieve for that day. COVID has pushed this a little bit off based on some of the hybrid days, but I will show you how that actually works out. So if we have pages introducing, what I've done, and I'm hoping that at some point in time, Canvas can actually create a lesson plan type of tool. What I've done is I've actually created calendar entries through activities. I tried it with events last year. I couldn't navigate with events as accurately as what I can with activities. But what I do is I created a new type. If we go into this a little bit, it's an actual assignment group called lesson plan. They're not graded. There are no submissions. And so what it is it's literally what students are going to actually do on any given day. And this will show up in the calendar, but it gives them what they require to do, have their devices ready. They're going to be viewing my PowerPoint on what is digital electronics. They're going to take Cornell notes. They now have 3 or 4 options for doing Cornell notes. They can actually video their understanding of what they saw in the presentation. They can submit a PDF either with a CAM scanner or a scanner that they have at home, or they can actually create a digital copy and submit it to me on a Google Doc. So it's been foundational. Let me return to the calendar right now. And this one was on September 15th. So when you look at the calendar on September 15th, for example, you'll see what is actually in my module, which is the Introduction to Digital Electronics. So navigation has been a dream for many of the students, in the sense that they all comment to me that they never are lost. In something as fast-paced as what we have in our courses, they now know where they are at any given point in time, not only from the calendar, but also from the modules. How I've set up the hierarchy, daily lesson plans are always adjusted to, pardon me, the left side of the page or the left side of the actual website. When there's a due date, I've come through a few years anyways, with the use of PowerSchool. That PowerSchool operates better numerically than just alpha. So now I've got an alphanumerical navigation system. So anytime that there is a number in front of a due today, students know that that's going to be when that submission is actually due. You're usually followed by a due today of an activity, by a quiz, which is also indented. The students have been apprised of what actual quizzes look like with the little spaceship that's going up into the air. So just a brief summary of what actually is the foundational modules / units for which students will navigate through either through a daily basis on the modules or a daily basis with the calendar. Students also have access to all of the rubrics for the entire course. I was busy over the summer holidays creating these rubrics for them so that they know at any given point in time when they have something due, they have the accompanying rubric to see what my expectations are, as well as if they have any questions, they're able to create a note for me to say, Ms. Louise, I don't understand what's going on here. Additionally, all the files for the entire course can be found. They are all alphanumerically organized. They are in keeping with Project Lead the Way's nomenclature. So if they wanted to go onto the Project Lead the Way site, which is now a different site, they'll be able to see a one-to-one relationship with external resources as well. There's been a huge combination with utilizing Zoom or Google Meets. The collaboration is occurring with the students on a daily basis where they now have, and thankful to Tim's, I'm going to just close down or move aside one of these, my digital portable digital boards, where students can now actually work at home at any given point in time and create their project boards, because the design process at a micro level occurs by designing a circuit, drawing it out, then actually creating a simulation on National Instrument Multisim, creating a pre-breadboard activity through Tinkercad, and then a breadboard activity through collaboration on their protoboards. I've actually now, in the last month, I was busy to not only do this for the digital electronics, I actually did this for my architecture class, and we're in the process of manual drafting, as you see here on the document camera. So some final words with how I utilize this. I'm just going to use one final example in December. While students are working through an assignment and they're at home, sometimes there are some questions as to how they need to do it. So what I now utilize events for is I will come up with some quick images of, for example, not the solution, but how you would wire this diagram. They've all wired the diagram, but what they forgot to do, for example, was to put the pins on, where you see these little pin numbers. So I'm able to provide a wiring diagram to them one-to-one so that everybody can access it. And then what I also do is I create Tinkercad drawings for them to show what is expected, a visual representation, and I now am doing it in video, of what is to be expected when the Tinkercad model works. And then additionally, I've created one, I believe, for Tinkercad. Today's proof first. So now what we've done here is we created one with regards to that same circuit that you saw of what it should be doing as well. So, you know, to answer the question, why use tech in the classroom? I'm hoping that this little bit of a segment of what I've been doing for not just my digital electronics course, for all of my courses, that you're able to see the beauty, the seamless integration of how Canvas works with Zoom, how Zoom works with Canvas and Tinkercad, and collaborations. And, you know, it has changed the way, it's improved the way of how I was taught to teach digital electronics. Simply, it came from a file system to an absolute hands-on application through the guidance and the hand-holding of Canvas and all the integration of tools so that these students can achieve success. Will I go different? I mean, obviously after COVID, we kind of had to go into this technology era, but after COVID, I don't believe I'm going to change simply because it's such a strong basis that can only augment, you know, human to human interaction, which we kind of get with Zoom, but I can't see it changing much whatsoever. So I thank you. I'm really thankful for this course. I'm thankful for all that you've done for us with regards to the Bloom's taxonomy and Samra and Tim. I am enthralled and hope to I'm looking forward to actually taking the next course to see where this will take me from there. Thanks.